Hello, my name's Nick Marchessault, and I'm going to be demoing my final project for E65g tonight. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of the UI with my two simulators here and have Firebase going on in the background and go over a few scenarios like just a full end-to-end game, resuming a game from local persistence, and what happens when the timers time out. So three different game types. So just to quickly go over this, this is like the main view. I chose to do a tic-tac-toe board just to keep it simple. And then I put a lot of the Firebase calls in two buttons, so clear Firebase and Firebase, so that way I could just start from a known state and know when I'm checking into Firebase just by a click of a button. If I go over here to my tabbed bar view controller, here's our help screen. So I actually chose an HTML file from the web that I did not choose, and I'm loading that into my view here. And it just goes over the rules of tic-tac-toe and also has a pretty cool JavaScript board here that you can kind of play around with before you face a Firebase opponent. And then our last is over here. Our last bar view controller is the history tab. So and that will just have metadata of previous games that were played. So if I go back to the main here, I'll just get a game going, and then we can talk through each scenario. So I'll first just set up a quick preference and change the color and whatnot. And we'll name it Final Project, hit dismiss, and as you can see, those update there. So basically, when I click Firebase, that's actually going to make the calls out to Firebase to kind of check that player in. I put the clear Firebase button here. As you can see, that just kind of resets the game document, so that way I can proceed to create a new one. And my code heavily relies on this checked in field here. That's equal to nil after I click clear Firebase, and basically what that means is now when I click Firebase, it's going to recognize that no other player has checked in, and it's going to assign this device, or Nick's device, as player 1 in Firebase. So I'll go ahead and do that, and as you can see, it updates in the background. And then I'm going to go do that same thing with this one. So I'll click Firebase here. It's going to recognize that Nick has already checked in, so it's not going to do anything other than setting the game set equal to true. So now both devices are ready for the game. So I'll go ahead and click through a game real quick. So as you can see, it updates the status message and highlights whose turn it is. So I'll just go through a pretty simple game here. As you can see, Nick won, and then it carries it over to the other device and notifies them as well. And as you can see, my moves list in Firebase is kind of like an array of dictionaries of dictionary. And I chose it that way because I wanted to capture the move number, who made the move, and the coordinates of the move. And that seemed to be the best data structure that I could think of. So that was just kind of a basic game here, so I'm going to go ahead and click our reset button, and basically what that's going to do is clear all of our UI and our locally persisted models. And the next thing I want to go over is resuming a game that is not yet complete. So I just cleared Firebase. I'm going to check in this device here and start a game, exit out, and restart it. So as you can see, a pop-up comes up, restore previous game. We're going to click yes, and it's going to go ahead and update the UI and then send some data to Firebase. And then over here, I'm going to click Firebase to pull down those move lists, update its UI, and then let me know that it's my turn. And so now we're just back into the full swing of resuming this game. And player 2 won. So that's an example for resuming a game from a locally persisted model. I'll go ahead and click our reset button again to show our last scenario before I end my presentation, and that's going to be just letting a game time out. So if I go ahead here, click Firebase, and have two people check in, and both click a game. So maybe we'll get, halfway through a game, and as you can see, the timer goes on. So basically how I did the timer was I just have local timers on each device, and based on whether it's waiting for the opponent or waiting for your move, it's then going to notify each screen via an alert pop-up for who won. So I do have a small bug. I just have to change, that it's 25 seconds rather than 15. But it did wait 25 seconds. This person's turn was last, and they didn't do it before the time ran out. So a pop-up comes up, time ran out, and this person won. And then this is also going to get persisted to the history as well. So I do have some minor bugs, as you can see here. It doesn't fully have all the metadata yet, but definitely going to work on that before I submit it tonight. And I think that's all I have for my presentation. So thank you for a great semester, and have a good holiday.